today we would like to talk with you about the creative in school and university.
Okay.
So at your point of view, why teacher didn't want you to be creative?
Well, that's a good question. I think most teachers like to try to maintain a certain control over the class. And I think that tends to inhibit creativity. Most teachers don't like to be asked questions. I mean, when I teach university, I encourage my students to ask questions all the time. But my students tell me none of the other professors want to be asked questions. Why? Well, I think it's as basic as a lot of professors, because they're professors and they're supposed to know a lot about everything, don't want to be asked a question that they don't know. The professors don't want to be challenged. They just want the students to sit there and be good boy and good girl and follow instructions. And I think when we look at education, most of the corporate CEOs, famous ones, most of the presidents and prime ministers were horrible students. They got very bad grades. Why? They were constantly asking the professors questions. The professor didn't want to be asked questions. They were constantly a pain in the neck in class, and it caused a problem for the professors. So, I mean, I think not a lot of professors really want to motivate the students to question, challenge, and learn. They just want to have the students say, okay. Why? Because that's easy. It's very easy that nobody says anything. You go, you lecture, the students take notes, they pass their exam, you go on. But that's not really involved in motivation and what's necessary. You need your students to ask questions. This is a very good point. They say, what was education way back in ancient Greece or ancient China? You had no books, you had no PowerPoint, you had nothing. What did you have? You had the teacher and you had the students. The students asked questions. No questions, no class. And you were my student until I said go. I can't teach you anymore. You can go out and teach the class. In that way of thinking, no questions, no interest. No interest, why are you taking the class? And I think, unfortunately, too many students today, they're there for a degree, they're not really there to learn. You pretend to teach, I pretend to learn. That's the tacit arrangement that you have, but that's not education.
Yeah. So today's world and the young generation have different thinking, especially the generation after Gen Z.
Yeah.
So it means that was born after the 2000. Yeah. And what about what do you think about how they creative and they have the critical thinking and respect to the teacher? In Vietnamese society right now, sometimes the children are overconfident and they say that, oh, this is my teacher said that this is critical thinking. And what is the limitation from the respect and then also creative and then respectfully ask a question with the teacher, especially for the secondary school and then primary school?
Well, I mean, I've taught all over the world. I've taught in 23 different countries. Vietnam is the country where I teach with the students ask the least amount of questions. You have just been taught here, do not challenge the teacher. If you don't challenge the teacher, I'm sorry, you should not be in the class. Because then you might as well go and be in a military school and say yes. All you can do is sit there and say yes. Well, if that's all you can do, then I'm sorry, you're not going to learn anything. Most teachers think they have it. I mean, this is university. Think they have a certain status because they know a lot. But that doesn't help you really as a teacher. You have to be able to communicate that. And it's a give and take between the students and the teachers. When we go to creativity, because you mentioned that, I don't see the younger people being more creative than and the older ones. Every generation is pretty much the same. When you ask a question, what was the most creative period in history? Answer is, we don't know. No period was more creative than anything else. If you want to be creative, then what you need to do is stop teaching people as they go through adolescence to conform, to worry about what other people say, and to be polite. One of the interesting things that's happened lately, I saw a quote from Jeff Bezos, who's the CEO of Amazon, and he was in a meeting, internal meeting at Amazon, and after an hour he turned to one of the men in the meeting and said, "You've been here for an hour, you haven't said anything. Why are you here?" Well, this is quite true. We have been taught to just go and show up and not say anything. You can't do that anymore. If you're not going to talk, if you're not going to question, if you're not going to be part of the give and take, then why are you there? Well, answer is, of course, school, education, like medicine, and like religion, is a business. And we just want students who pay the tuition, who don't give us any problems, and who just sit there and are good. But that is, again, not really the best way at all. You need to be able to get people to at least understand and question why things happen. When I teach, I try to always explain why things are the way they are, and have the students go and find out why, because it gives you a lot of understanding, and then that's a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, your sharing information is very, very useful, and I hope that the teachers from university and school can watch video and see your talk show, and then they can learn, and then they can trust themselves in the school.
I do a lot of workshops for teachers, especially I do it in India and in different places in Asia. And I think it's really important because most teachers are too internally focused. And you need to be student-oriented. You need to put the students first. Unfortunately, I think the professors put their own research first, which the universities also push, and then the institution first. And I think most of the time you need to really focus on the students and what would be best for them. But that's not done, unfortunately, in most institutions.
Yeah, thank you very much for this workshop.